Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kickabout podcast with me, Chris, and we have Dan this week. How are you doing, sir?
At the moment, I'm good.
Oh, well, because it hasn't kicked off yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, Manchester United Bournemouth is happening, and at the moment in the background. So if you catch either of us looking away, that's because something happened. Much like last week, you
Quite an eventful game last week, wasn't
yeah,
it?
that was last. It was almost like it's a good thing we weren't.
I'm just trying to play over there. How do I stop that from happening?
Probably stopped touching it in the first place. It was fucking fine before you touched it.
Yeah, but I wanted it like here. It was a little bit too low. For
The
me.
poor viewers now are just getting loads of like dong, dong.
Is it this one?
No, what you're going to have to do, you're going to have to unplug the mics. Right, we can start the recording.
That's all right. That's all right. I'll just stick with it like that. Is that all right?
Tell you a minute, let me see. Right, if I'm talking, no, it's not picking you up.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're all good. All right, I'm happy with that.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you going to stop touching it now?
Probably not.
Okay. Yes, so we are here tonight to talk about all of the stuff that happened on the weekend, or pick our pick of the stuff. But we are actually going to start with something that happened last week, and that is the scandal about the World Cup ticket prices. Now, I kind of want to rant about this because the more I think about this, the more it pisses me off. It's just I saw something online. It basically just said that FIFA are at it again. And that sort of headline and tagline just kind of sums everything up, because when are FIFA going to stop taking things away from your average fan? I mean, when you saw the news about those ticket prices, what was your kind of initial reaction to it?
I was going to say I was shocked, but at the same time, it doesn't surprise me, to be honest. I don't know, how much digging did you do? Because obviously I showed you guys to start with that bit. Did you sort of dig into it? Because I dug further.
Yeah, I had a little look to it. I mean, it's obviously the whole World Cup is shaping up to be pretty much the most expensive, commercialised, exclusive, take all the words that you want. It's going to be the worst one in history for it.
Yeah.
Fans are rightly up in arms. You know, the whole World Cup in the build-up to it was being sort of sold to us as the kind of the most inclusive tournament as it is. Well, I'd say they've kind of achieved that, but if their idea of inclusivity is anybody that's got money.
Yeah. So one thing that when I read, I was like, right, I've got to screenshot this and read it out. So before the World Cup was announced in, like, you know, when they're doing the process and all that. And
that's in the bidding process.
Yeah, the bidding.
Yeah.
So they announced that ticket prices would be £520, potentially rising to 666
for the final.
Yes.
Yeah.
With inflation, could go up to 666. The cheapest ticket is 3,111.
That's outrageous. I mean, quick maths. What's that? That's about a 500% increase. Yeah. That is. It's unfathomable. And the thing is that a lot of people are directing their anger at like the US. And it's like it's not them.
No,
it's FIFA that's doing
being
this.
Greedy.
And you know, when you look at everything around this, I mean, I know there was another screenshot that you sent, which I'm sure we'll get into in a minute, about like the impact it has on a lot of countries. When you look at things like the dynamic pricing, the hospitality packages, it's like it's thousands of dollars or thousands of pounds in our case to watch your team play in a tournament that is meant to be kind of a celebration of everything that's amazing about football.
Yep.
It's the pinnacle of football. Club or international, it is the pinnacle. It's the one trophy that every country wants to win and every player wants to be a part of, and they're just sort of quietly taking. Well, not quietly really, because obviously everyone's up in arms. But you know, it's almost now like it's a commercialised holiday. It's like a 3-week retreat now, rather than like. You know, all these England fans that will go out to all these countries like Andorra, San Marino, Kazakh, all these like wild and wacky places. I'm about to say Kazakhstan, I'm pretty sure they're not in the EU. In the European football, or are they? They are. Okay. I think their country is technically Asia.
I think they're part of Asia, but they're in European qualifying.
So you got all of this going on, and let's be honest, this isn't an accident. What FIFA are doing. No. This is exactly what the plan was. You know, American pricing. You know, they actually talked to some of the American fans out there, and they were sort of like getting their reaction to it. A lot of them were sort of shrugging their shoulders because they're so used to this with things like the Super Bowl, like the MLB stuff, the NBA, WrestleMania, all these sort of big events that are always massively overcharged and oversubscribed. But the problem is that when you price out fans who will go there, who will sing, who will care, who will have the passion, what you end up with is like a soulless experience that's just full of people just well done. Like you don't get the passion. You know, you think back to I know like the vuvuzelas were something that we all look back on with quite a lot of resentment because we all fucking hated it. But at the same time,
I loved them.
It did kind of make the World Cup, didn't it? Because it was
different. It was
that carnival
it was
atmosphere.
the first one in Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I understand they got a little bit annoying after a while, but I liked that there was always an atmosphere. It was always really loud and noisy.
But it was actually like this perfect atmosphere to really perfectly illustrate where you were in the world. It's a bit like when you go to trying to think of another example of a sporting event where you go to a certain country and there's just something about it that you're in that country, whether it's the kind of the vibe from the fans, whether it's the color palette, whatever it is. Africa was that perfect example, but with America, it just feels
Brazil.
like the only Brazil. Yeah, it's a good one with all the sort of samba and carnival type stuff. But with the American one, it just feels more like the vibe is ripping people off.
Yeah.
And when you take into account, despite the fact that it was meant to be a very green tournament, you got humongous amounts of travel.
Well, that's
involved.
what I was going to say. That the thing is, it's not like it's just. I mean, America is a massive. It's not like England where travel from the bottom to the top is doable.
Yeah,
and it's you're not
six
going. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg.
Bottom or whatever. Yeah.
One side of America to the other side of America is very, very different.
Yeah.
And not only is it not just in America, it's also in Canada and Mexico.
Yeah. It's a truly wild thing that the World Cup now is seemingly just belongs to people who can expense it.
Yeah.
As part of their business
because
trip.
The whole idea of them expanding the tournament was so that it was, more countries could be involved, and your countries like Haiti, Uzbekistan, their first ever World
Panama
Cups, etc.
Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, I obviously showed you guys, and I sort of had a look into more of it, and so Haiti is one of the poorest countries in the world. The average wage is £110 a month.
Yeah.
In Haiti. The cheapest World Cup ticket for one of Haiti's games is £135.
Month's wages.
Over a month's wages.
Over a month's wages.
And that's just
one
the
game.
ticket.
And that's just the ticket to the match.
Not alone getting there, staying there, eating, drinking. Just the ticket is over a month's wage.
That's crazy. And then when you factor in, if they wanted to watch all three of them, I mean, let's be honest, they're probably not getting out the group.
If they want to watch all three games, it would cost them £467, which is over 4 months of a salary. So nearly half a year's salary to watch their 3 group games.
It's scandalous. I don't think there's another way I can describe it. It is absolutely scandalous. It's daylight robbery from
There's
FIFA.
a few countries that are in the same sort of boat. Ghana, apparently quite a low-paying country.
Yeah.
That all of their, all of these teams, fans are sort of saying we're not really going to be able to afford to go.
Well, I mean, the knock-on effect is going to be felt by, in terms of if you're looking at just fans and not the wealthy. Fans all over. It doesn't matter where they're coming. Fans from the UK. Yes, we're a first world country, well developed, etc., etc. But when you factor in all the games that we're likely to get into, and we go into the stages, the travelling, everything else, you're still talking thousands of pounds.
Well, yeah. Here you go. So if you want to, for any country, no matter what country you're supporting, if you want to follow them for every single group game and they get all the way to the final, the minimum that's going to cost you is £5,200.
I could take my family to fucking Disneyland and not basically stay in the same room as Mickey Mouse for that. Jesus, it's like a stock market.
Yeah.
For football, isn't it? I mean, and this is the other thing I want to talk about is the dynamic pricing. So for those that don't know what dynamic pricing is, dynamic pricing basically means that the pricing can change, right? So at the moment we've got a list of prices. We can obviously see what it was and what it is now from when they promised in the bidding. But basically it means it can change. So if there is high demand for a game, if one of the knockout games suddenly produces a France versus Brazil, and it's like a high-profile game, they're going to change the pricing, especially as people are going to be waiting now. They're not buying up tickets, whereas before when they were cheaper, people might buy tickets all the way through to the final in the hope that their team might get there. Now they might be waiting. So it's all going to go up. And this is actually something that Silverstone, Formula 1 do. But they started doing this a couple of years ago, and it was a massive issue then. I think they still do it. But effectively, if you're if you're first through the gate on the website to get a ticket, you might be able to get a ticket for a couple £100 or whatever it is. But if you come in late and the demand is high and the website's getting loads and loads of traffic, you could pay 2 or 3 times that. And it's like, well, what? Hang on a minute. I'm going to get exactly the same fucking experience as the guy at the front of the queue, but I've got to pay 2 or 3 times as much for it. To me, that is one of the biggest robberies in sport, not just in football, in sport in general, in the world in general. Yeah, I mean, I
also got sort of my last little fact. With all those ticket prices, so England, if you're following England and you follow all of their games, group stage to final, add in the flights, that will cost you an extra £3,000. So you're looking at just over £8,000 to watch England in every game and follow them around.
That's flights and tickets.
Yeah,
that's not accommodation.
Nope.
That's not food.
That's just flights and tickets.
So you are comfortably £12,000, 11, £12,000.
Yeah.
Especially, and that's for one person, by the way.
Yeah, one per person.
That's one person.
Yeah. You ain't taking your kids, that's for sure.
Daddy, are we going to Disneyland this year? No, sorry, I'm going to go watch England Panama. Yeah, it's absolutely wild. I'm really intrigued to see whether or not what the fallout to this is, because the impact on the games is going to be potentially huge. There'll be less atmosphere. Could there be lots of...
We'll just have the same as the Qatar World Cup. We have loads of Indian blokes with like Brazilian and England tops on.
But, I mean, they got massive amounts of criticism for that, FIFA, and they obviously haven't learned. And it's...
It literally just reminds me of the Lee Evans thing. It goes puts a different top
on. He's
It's
Pakistan.
Like, he's Pakistan.
I mean, is this... With it, with the potential of loads of empty seats, with the potential of a really bad atmosphere, some of it potentially could be. Obviously, it's almost all FIFA greed. I get it, but a lot of it is driven by this larger World Cup, right? Because this is kind of the driving force behind it. Because it was a commercial decision at the end of the day. I don't give a shit what they say about, we want to get more teams in and give more teams a chance.
More money,
bollocks! It's all about money.
More match
it always
tickets.
Exactly. It always is. More matches on TV. So. Do you think that, as a fan, would you prefer a cheaper World Cup at the same size as it is now, or a smaller World Cup but more expensive? And when I say more expensive, I'm not talking about these sorts of prices. I'm talking just high-end football prices that we would pay in this country, for example.
Why does it... I mean, I know it's hypothetical, but why does it need to be more expensive?
Well, it doesn't. You're absolutely right. I'm just
literally
posing the hypothetical question here.
Well, the thing is, I mean, maybe I shouldn't judge it until we've seen the bigger World Cup, but having seen the draw, that was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine the World Cup's going to be much. But even like, obviously, we're in Group L. I think we're like 8 days after the tournament.
Like 8 or 9 days we have
after
to
the
wait.
tournament started. Like,
yeah, it's a mockery. It really is. I mean, I'd imagine then it means that because the World Cup usually is about 4 weeks. Does it go on longer then? Is it now like it must be like a five and a half week maybe?
And there's games on at like 2 a.m, 3 a.m, 5 a.m. I know obviously we're on the other side of the world, but World Cup in Brazil and stuff like that wasn't on at stupid times, as far as I remember.
No, I think Brazil is, depending on where in America it is, obviously that's going to have a massive effect, because if it's West Coast, that's like an 8-hour time difference to us, whereas if it's East Coast, it's more like 5 hours. That will have an effect. Excuse me, that will have an impact. Whereas Brazil, the majority of their country is like 5 and 6 hour bracket, I think. So yeah, I don't know if atmosphere matters to FIFA anymore. I don't know if anything matters to them other than money. It is becoming so shamelessly corrupt, so shamelessly about commercialization and advertising with the Americanization of it all, with the halftime show that we're now going to be getting. With the draw and how that was done, with all the live performances we spoke about last week, it's a disgrace. It really is. And I really feel. Do you know who I feel the worst for, other than those people like from Haiti and stuff like that, and those countries who this could be once in a lifetime for them to be part of this. It feels to me like the people who are being shafted the most, from our point of view, from England's point of view, those that have travelled around, because most people will know, but in order to get tickets to things like World Cups, you have to go and travel and watch all of the England, regardless of how boring they are on paper, how boring they are in reality.
Build up your caps.
You've got to build up your caps. You've got to make sure that you go to all these games home and away. and then it comes to the World Cup, and it's like, well, I've just spent all this money and all my time following my team around Europe for these qualifiers, and now I've been completely priced out of going to the World Cup.
12 grand, please, sir.
Yeah. So, thank you for your support. That'll be 12 grand, please. It really is an absolute scandal. I'm really intrigued to watch how FIFA react to this. Do you see any scenario where FIFA back down on this? Even if ticket sales are horrific.
I think they genuinely would just like put fake fans in there again. And just be like, well, you know, people are buying the tickets.
It's happening to a beautiful game, honestly. It's depressing, frankly. It's become now an event that you watch rather than attend. It's a really, really sad time to be a football fan. Good.
Ahmed.
Thank
God we didn't let him go.
He's in my draft. Right, okay, let's move on then. We're going to talk about West Ham and Aston Villa. Now, despite the emotional backdrop that was there at the London Stadium after we did a proper Billy Bonds tribute, it's once again, bearing in mind he was a big defender for us, West Ham's defence looked very shaky again, conceding twice from errors, including the own goal, allowing Villa to build the momentum and ultimately able to turn it round. And thanks to a stunning goal from Morgan Rogers, they beat us 3-2. Dan, West Ham are a team full of defenders who can't defend. Why do we keep sitting back? Please answer me this.
Because you've got a defensive.
Yeah, but he must be able to look at this team and go, Mavropanos is quite shit. Kilman is quite shit. Todibo, most of the time, is quite shit. Wan-Bissaka I'll tell you what, I'm not sure I can think of somebody who's had a bigger form drop-off from one season to another than Wan-Bissaka. He has been woeful this year. He's had the odd good game here and there, but overall he's been really poor.
Didn't believe me.
He was great for one season.
Shouldn't have sold him. No, he's rubbish. The thing is, though, he's 99 on FIFA on slide tackles, but his marking is about a 2. He's got no awareness whatsoever. Like, he doesn't track players. If he's say for a corner or something, he'll be like, "Oh, my player's there." He doesn't sort of imagine like, oh, they might move. I might actually have to follow them. It just baffles me. Honestly, it used to annoy me so much for United because we'd concede so many goals from crosses and corners, and you also conceded quite a lot from set pieces this season.
Yeah, I'm starting to see some similarities here. I mean, you say about the marking. I mean, if you look at Villa's second goal, they scored right after half time. The cross comes in from Tielemans, I think. Morgans controls the ball pretty much just outside our 6-yard box, and Wan-Bissaka is next to him as he takes the touch. He's tracked his man, but then he takes the touch, and Wan-Bissaka, for some reason, just carries on running towards our goal. Yeah. And then tries to stand on the line and block it. It's like, why have you not stopped and tried to tackle him or get a block in, standing next to him? I really don't understand that decision making at all. And the problem is that the manner in which of this defeat, the 3-2 defeat to Aston Villa, kind of summed up West Ham perfectly, really. We can go toe-to-toe with teams if we want to. We can go forward. We've got decent attacking players who can cause problems. Obviously, the output of some of those players is not great. Paquetá had another poor game, I thought. Somerville continues to frustrate. We cannot keep relying on Jarrod Bowen. I know Fernandes scored a fantastic goal, and he's looking like a really good player. But if you can't stop conceding at the other end, you're in trouble. And the defensive numbers that we're posting at the moment are concerning, to put it mildly. And I genuinely do worry, actually. Like, I was looking at the table, looking at the fact that Leeds have been picking up points. Forest beat Spurs the weekend, Bournemouth are the next ones above those two, and you would expect at some point Bournemouth to pick up, although not at the moment. This is ridiculously, this is a fantastic result for this is a good result for West Ham, but we need to adjust our attitude. I think that there has to come a point where we realise that actually we cannot rely on our defenders to keep clean sheets and keep teams out by sitting back for so much. We have to provide our defenders with some relief. I suppose any team that sits back for that long, you're asking so many questions over and over and over again. Eventually, most teams will crack.
I think the problem with you as well is you don't go for the throat. If you go 1-0 up, it's like, right, it's almost like in England, when like against Italy, England would score, and then it's like, right, let's just sit back and try and defend that 1-0 win. And West Ham, I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong. They seem to do it every time they go a goal ahead. It's like, right, now let's just try and protect that lead rather than, right, let's go for the throat and try and get 2 goals ahead.
Exactly that. I mean, we were 2-1 up in this game. Obviously, we were very slow out the blocks and allowed them to get back in the game. I think that was Villa's first shot on goal, or on target, sorry. The second goal, because the first goal was a goal. Yeah. We should have killed Brighton off with the chances we created, but we didn't. We did play better in that second half, or that late goal. Probably shouldn't have counted, but it's, you know, the way the cookie is crumbling for us at the moment. But I think, you know, with January just round the corner, all the talk about West Ham has been another striker, and I agree we need one, but I also think we need a dominant centre-back from someone. The talk of Charlie Cresswell from Toulouse, the England under-21 lad, was outstanding in the Euros, really good in the air, just big presence. It reminds me a little bit of like Dan Ballard. From
Sunderland.
From Sunderland. But the problem is he's a young lad coming into the Premier League into a relegation scrap. That's risky to throw a 21-year-old, I think he is, into that scenario.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, look, I'm not going to go over West Ham's problems because I'm just treading over old ground here. So instead, we're going to talk about Aston Villa and their continued impressive form.
They won like 9 in a row now or something.
As far as I could tell, I didn't fact check this, so I might be wrong with this, but I did see on Sky Sports it said 10 wins from their last 11 games. I don't know if that's all competitions or whether that's Premier League. But I just want to focus on Morgan Rogers for one moment because he is now becoming so pivotal to that Aston Villa team. You know, Ollie Watkins still hasn't. I mean, he had the couple of goals against Brighton or did whatever it was. He's not the striker at the moment that they need, but Morgan Rogers is just carrying that attacking burden at the moment.
It reminds me a bit of Bellingham, actually.
He does. Yeah, I was going to say that. You know, he was the difference maker here. With that, I mean, look, we should have closed him down. You don't give a player of Morgan quality that level of time in the box. Great goal, and on another day he might. He might sky that one, but you know you can't run that risk. You have to sort of put the odds in your own favour by closing him down. But you know, you think back to that game against Leeds, scored the goals in that game to win the game. All right, keeper should have saved the free kick, but it's still him, the main man again. So, you know, all the while he's demanding, he's growing as a player. So, how close is he being to a main player on the international stage now? Been talk about him and Bellingham already. Do you think these sorts of performances are helping his cause? Yeah,
I mean, I get the feeling that Tuchel doesn't really like Bellingham. So I could see Morgan Rogers being the starter. The thing is, I think Foden's now all of a sudden having a cracking season.
Yeah, he's turning up a little bit.
And I don't like him on the wings. So for me, you've got Foden, Morgan Rogers, and Bellingham all fighting for the number 10 spot, and I kind of want all 3 of them to play.
Yeah, I mean, if Saka's fit, he's nailed on at right wing.
Rashford, I think, at the moment is probably the left wing.
Yeah, he's in good nick for them. And then you've got Madueke knocking on the door. I mean, he can play both sides. Anthony Gordon's form is quite hit and miss.
Yeah, he's not been great, but he's probably the second best left winger that we've got form at the moment. And then obviously the 2 deeper midfielders. I think you've got Wharton, you've got Rice, you've got Anderson.
Yep. Will Henderson will probably still be in the squad.
He'll be there as a squad player, yeah. But yeah, I mean, we're looking pretty strong. It's just the number 10. I don't know out of all of them who, I mean, obviously Morgan Rogers is the least experienced on the international stage.
Yeah.
And if Cole Palmer starts cooking again, you know,
another one.
Are you going to have Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, and Bellingham all sat on the bench? That would be crazy.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I mean, out of all the managers we've had in recent times, Tuchel is the one I trust the most to make a decision based on what's team.
Yeah, rather than who his mates are.
Well, not just that, but rather than like what the media and the fans want.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes Southgate picked people because he liked them rather than they were the right choice.
Oh, I'm sure he did. I'm just saying that, like, I think Tuchel will ignore all of the outside noise. Or his own internal feelings about players, and I feel like he will make a decision in best interest, and that might mean leaves 1 or 2 big name players at home, because I don't know if he can get all of those players in the squad unless he decides to go with like so many wingers and 10s, and we haven't got that many options at striker at the moment.
It depends how Palmer's at the moment. Sounds stupid. I wouldn't take Palmer at the moment because I don't think he deserves to go because he's not really done anything and he's been injured.
Yeah.
But obviously, if he starts to get back towards the Palmer we saw last season or season before, I would take him purely because he can play on that right wing.
Yep. A bit more versatile than Phil Foden is.
Yeah. But who would you have right now? Would you have Morgan Rogers as number 10?
In the 10. See, it's tricky, right? Because Bellingham has been a big game player for England, big situations, real clutch for us. And I'll be honest, I don't watch Spanish football.
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, obviously Tuchel has to watch Spanish football because he's got to keep an eye on all these players. But it's so easy for us to watch Rodgers week in, week out, especially keeping an eye on FPL and stuff like that, and just think, I've only really seen Bellingham play for England. I haven't seen him play for Real Madrid.
No, exactly. So I'm kind of relying, therefore, on snippets of information coming through on social media or mainstream media. And if I don't hear anything, it's not that I forget about him, but you can't really make a decision based on his current form if you don't know what it is. And the only thing I'm hearing at the moment about Real Madrid in general is that Alonso's under massive pressure because they're not doing very well. Which is weird because I think they're
second in the league.
Second in the league, aren't they?
But so, that's Real Madrid, isn't it? Like, if you're not winning every single game, you're under pressure.
I don't know, but it's a great problem to have, right? Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Villa's title hopes because they're outperforming all of their key stats. All of the attacking stats and numbers are below what they're actually producing. They've scored 10 goals from outside the box this season, which is one more than Wolves have scored collectively from anywhere on the pitch. And you think, where would they be if they didn't have the slow start to the season that they had, where they scored but didn't score over the first 5, was it? I think 4 or 5?
First 5 games.
Are they outsiders for a title challenge, or are we reading too much into this run?
This is what annoys me about how fickle some football fans are as well, because there was so much talk about, is Emre going to be the first manager to get sacked and this, that and the other? And now they're like pushing towards, having a title challenge. It's like, I really rate Emre.
I think.
Because he's been managing Villa with one arm behind his back, to be honest. Especially with FFP, they've not been able to spend like they'd want to.
Yeah.
He's been very clever with they've had a few panic buys. I think Lindelof is a panic buy.
I forgot he was even there.
Yeah.
Sancho definitely was.
Yeah.
So was Harvey Elliott.
Yeah. So there's been a few panic buys, but that none of them have been playing, and they're still third in the league or second in the league, wherever they are.
They've been reasonably lucky with injuries.
Yeah.
They've not had too many bad ones or in key areas. It'll be very interesting to see. Like, for example, but if Morgan Rogers was to pick up, how does
have you just
that
brought him
affect?
in then? Have you?
I haven't. No, I'm actually avoiding bringing Morgan Rogers in. So for Aston Villa fans, you can rest easy.
You're welcome.
I don't know. I don't know if they've got the legs to go all the way to the end of the season. But I mean, we'll talk about
especially while they're in Europe as well.
Yeah,
I think are we talking about Palace or not? Are we?
No,
Palace. I think are struggling with that European hangover.
Weird, because I don't think they were earlier in the season. The results after that was not too bad.
I don't think they've won a game straight after Europe.
Yeah, I know what you mean. This week they shouldn't have been struggling because they played Shelbourne, the Irish side, battered them, made loads of changes to their team.
But they got stuck over there, I think, didn't they?
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, so maybe that's contributed to it.
So they had to stay like an extra day over there.
But equally, I don't think they played bad against City. City were just ruthless with their finishing. I think Palace hit the post. They had a couple of really in games where they could score and didn't. Look, we're going to talk about Villa in a overarching title chat a little bit later. But one final question on Emre.
Yep.
Or Emery, rather. Where do you place him in terms to, if you're ranking Premier League managers right now? Right now,
not all time.
No, as in the 20 Premier League managers right now, where are you placing him?
Second or third.
Okay. So I'm assuming you're putting Pep.
Pep's got to be top.
Top.
And then I'm just trying to think, do I rate Arteta that highly? Don't know if I'm being disrespectful if I put Arteta lower, but at the same time, I feel like he's not really. I know he won an FA Cup or so early on, but
yeah, this is the problem, right? Because you try and do it on recency to do it, but then if you're doing it on recency, then should Pep be one?
Yeah.
So if you're putting Pep at one,
I don't know if Emre's actually
isn't won anything in England. I know he won an FA Cup with Arsenal. I think.
No. But then,
Or did he? No, he got to, no, that's a lie. He got to the Europa League final, I think, and lost in the final.
Should he be lower than that? I mean, Glasner's been unreal at Palace. He's won them their first FA Cup in God knows how long.
Yeah.
Won the Charity Shield against Liverpool.
I think
top 5 definitely.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I would go as far to say top 3. I think you put. I think Glasner for me is probably 4 at the moment.
Okay.
I would probably. It's really difficult. I think Pep does go in at 1. The trouble is you get into this situation where you start judging. You have different criteria that you're judging each manager
That's the
against.
thing as well. Like it's easy to say, Pep number 1 because he's won so much with City, but City's budget compared to Crystal Palace,
absolutely,
is very, very different.
Exactly that. Yeah, could Pep do at Palace what Glasner is currently doing, for example? Yeah. I mean, we'll never know because he's never going to, with respect, he's never going to go manage a team like Palace.
I would love, for like a Pep or a Klopp to almost do like a Football Manager challenge where they start
go down to like Accrington Stanley, just turn up at his first press conference and like, right, I'm doing a non-league Champions League challenge, lads. That'd be class. But I do think Emery, for me, I would put him. I'm gonna be boring and sit on the fence and say put him level with us. Because I do think Arteta has done a really good job.
Yeah, that's why I sort of stopped and I thought, actually, I don't want to disrespect Arteta because he's been. I mean, Arsenal have been consistently up there. Yeah, they've not quite got over the line yet, but they've. Did he miss? My heart stopped then. But Arteta's been very, very good, and I think the same with Emery. I think since he's gone to Villa, I mean, when he joined them, they were like fighting relegation under Steven Gerrard. Now, they've been consistently up in those European spots. Champions League,
he got them into Europe that year as well.
Yeah, I think he might.
It was an incredible turnaround. I think Arteta's done an amazing job. The way they play, been good in the transfer market. He has spent big on 1 or 2 players, but he hasn't always. But he's always brought in players. Almost every signing, I can't think of too many signings that Arteta haven't worked out in recent times. At the very start of his tenure, maybe. But Emery, as you say, he's been hamstrung with FFP. Had to deal with a smaller squad, maybe not as deep as someone like Arsenal, and he's still putting up threes really well. So I think I would put them. It's a coin toss for me. I think there's arguments that could be made for one or the other being better, but I think it's very, very close. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these unfolds. We will talk a little bit more about the title stuff later on, but now we move on to Forest against Spurs.
Yeah. This is an interesting one.
Not a good result for West Ham, this one.
I thought you were going to say for Spurs, then I was like, yeah, that's an understatement.
I mean, it's not a good result for Spurs, but unfortunately it's become one that wasn't really that surprising. It's Spurs.
That was a game when I was doing my Saturday morning ACCA or Sunday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought, I'm not gonna include that one.
I steered well clear of that one. So Tottenham, they're in the bottom half of the league now. I think they're 11th. I think last time I looked, they might be slightly lower. I don't know after yesterday's results. 1 win in their last 7. They're well off the pace with the European qualification spots, which is I'm sure they're where they want to be. But the whole campaign so far has been an absolute roller coaster because they've had moments where they've been okay, but there doesn't seem to be anything in the middle. There's no 7 out of 10 performances where they do well, grind out a point or something like that. It's either an 8 or a 9 out of 10 or a 2 or a 3.
Yeah.
And recently, at least, there seems to have been a lot more 2 or 3s than there have been 8s and 9s. Defensive lapses. The goalkeeper is just woeful.
He's had a few clangers this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, and how many times, I haven't got the stats in front of me, but I know for a fact that in the last half a dozen games or so, the XG from Spurs has been woeful in a lot of those games, to the point where it's been like 0.0 something at half time. I think there's
been a few games where they've not had a shot on target until the second half.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a 2.5 games without a shot on target or something crazy. There was some really wild and wacky stats out there. But I just thought they looked lost again in this game. Like they look like a team that's not really playing cohesively. Like they're either not getting the messages from the manager, they either don't believe in the manager, or they are just in such a rut that they just can't mentally get themselves out of it. I want to talk about some of the goals they've been conceding as well, because obviously Vicario is taking a lot of stick for his performances, and rightly so, because he has been awful. Who takes the blame for that first goal, where he passes it into Archie Gray loses it and score? Who do you think is more at fault? You think that's Vicario's?
The thing is, who is it? Archie Gray.
Yeah.
He's running at the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He can't see. I'm sure he knows there's players there, but he cannot see how much pressure he's under. Vicario can see all the players around him. We've been saying this for the last few seasons now, and I think this season a lot of teams have caught on. You know, we were saying this about Southampton last season.
Yeah.
Stop putting yourself in trouble by trying to play out from the back. It's okay to go long every now and again. Get yourself out of pressure. Get yourself out of trouble. When you're running at your goalkeeper and he drills it into you, if you're running at him, the ball's coming at you quite quickly, and he's got to sort of drill it at him to get it to him. You're not gonna have the perfect
first touch
touch.
is a risk, isn't it?
And then as soon as you do that, the striker's past you. To me, it's the goal. To me, it's the goalkeeper. I think it's unfair to put it on because Archie Gray would have been told go and be that option.
Yeah,
doesn't mean he wants it. He's just creating that option to draw in the players.
Yeah, agreed. I think there's an element of Archie Gray's responsibility here because I do believe there was a pass he could have made, and a Premier League footballer, in my opinion, can do a first-time pass back to the centre back who I remember who it was. He was slightly to the left, maybe. I remember who it was. So there's an element of that, but you're right. And does even Thomas Frank need to take? Because this is obviously coming from him, whereby I want you to play out. If somebody comes in there, that's the pass I want you to play. Is there an element of that? Maybe. But this is just so symptomatic of Vicario at the moment. It's like a situation where 2 years ago he looked like a goalkeeper that sort of settle on and build from and not worry about that position. Now, they've got to replace him.
They brought in that Kinski, didn't they? They literally signed a goalkeeper this season because Vicario was out injured.
Yeah.
I mean, is it the time to now bring him in?
I mean, how many mistakes does Vicario have to make before you drop him for somebody else? At the very least, take him out the firing line.
I mean, Pope's obviously been dropped now for Ramsdale because he was making too many mistakes.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure you want to go and get a goalkeeper that's making mistakes at his current club to replace the one making mistakes at yours.
No. I'm not saying go and get Pope. I'm saying that. Pope
the fact that they dropped him.
Yeah.
Look, they got problems all over the pitch. I mean, Richarlison, I thought was absolutely woeful in this game again. I don't think he completed a single pass in the first half.
I don't think he's a striker, to be quite honest with you.
I'm not sure he's a footballer. He's got moments of individual brilliance in him. We saw the goal against Arsenal. We've seen scissor kick against somebody earlier in the season. He'll have these little flashes of brilliance where suddenly you think, oh, there is a footballer in there. And then he won't score for 4 games, and it's like he might as well not be on the pitch. So anyway, let's obviously Thomas Frank here. He's got a real job on here. The crowd are getting upset. The players are getting visibly annoyed. You saw Jed Spence getting quite frustrated being subbed.
Yeah,
don't know whether or not that's.
I rate Spence actually.
Well. I'm not sure whether that frustration is more of the performance or the fact that he's being subbed. So I don't want to read too much.
I've seen
a
lot on social media. Spurs fans wanting Thomas Frank out now.
Yeah, the trouble is that they're a club that I don't think thought they needed a complete rebuild when Postecoglou left.
This is because I've seen so much on social media about, a lot of Spurs fans doing like fan videos and stuff saying, oh, get him out, blah, blah, blah. And then I've also seen in the comments people saying, you literally finished 17th last season. Like, what were you expecting?
Yeah.
Like a massive turnaround, fight for the title type thing.
Yeah, there is an element of like needing to be a little bit realistic about what you're doing, but I think maybe it's not the results, maybe it's the performances.
Yeah, which is fair enough. But I mean, you look at the front line, you've got Colin Moani, who's not really done anything.
Showed a little signs of life recently, but that's gone quiet again.
Matthias Tell,
he's
another
dreadful.
one. Yeah, don't rate him. Richarlison.
Solanke's injured all the time.
Solanke's always injured.
Kulusevski and Maddison are 2 big misses for them, in fairness.
And Kulusevski gets injured quite a lot, so does Maddison recently.
Yep. There just doesn't seem to be any identity. They don't really ever have any control in games at all. They always seem like they're, sort of playing on the edge quite a lot. They got very lucky against Newcastle when they drew 2-2 with that overhead kick that somehow made it into the bottom corner. I mean, Thomas Frank has continually talked about long-term projects and how this is going to take time and they need patience and that sort of thing. But you don't really get that in Premier League football anymore.
No, which I think is stupid, to be honest, because I do think that if Thomas Frank's given time, I think he'll... Problem is, he came from Brentford. It's not like he's come from a team that's been fighting for Europe or he's got Europe experience. He's come from Brentford, who came up from the Championship, and then he's kept the ship steady.
Yeah.
So to me, it's almost a bit like Potter from Brighton to Chelsea.
Yeah.
It's a massive step up. You're now at a club that's expecting to fight for things, especially as they've now had a taste of, a trophy.
Yeah.
But you're bringing in a manager that's never really actually won anything. I mean, I know he's probably won stuff down in the Championship, but he's never won anything while being in the Premier League. But you're all of a sudden expecting him to turn this team into a, like a title fighting team or something like that.
Yeah, it is. It's really odd that the way in which this has gone south for Tottenham, because it wasn't only a couple of seasons ago, that first season under Ange, where they actually looked really good.
Yeah.
And then it's so quickly. It shows again in football how quickly things turn. Out. The trouble is that not only is it the performances, but results like this turn questions, doubts.
Yeah.
And then if those doubts get worse, they turn into serious amounts of pressure, and then at some point a pressure valve has to be released, and that usually means the manager gets changed.
It's a shame because I do really like Thomas Frank, actually. He seems like a very down-to-earth guy.
Yeah. I do worry for them. Like, if you look at January around the corner, players like Mickey van der Ven, does he think about, do I need to move there for the best of my career? Because the greatest respect, if Tottenham are not going to be lingering around European positions and be there for too long.
It'd be quite good in the back three. Shirt.
Right, let's talk about the game between Sunderland and Newcastle. The game that kind of we've been looking forward to quite a lot because of Shearer, although we've not seen him for so long, it's difficult to know what
he hasn't come out of his cupboard since, has he?
No, I don't think so. I think he might be seeing Dr. Phil at the moment. Sunderland edged Newcastle 1-0, of course, at the Stadium of Light, thanks to a bizarre, brilliant own goal.
Great goal.
It was a fantastic fucking header, wasn't it?
I've seen so many Sunderland accounts putting like Voltemada in a Sunderland shirt.
I feel genuinely quite sorry for Voltemada because he seems like a really nice guy, really genuine, and I think that he likes being part of Newcastle. He loves the what was that one? Of course it is. He loves the club. He wants to be part of their history and whatnot. I do get that vibe from him. So for him to be the one that scores the header in such a way that actually loses them the game as well, I think he's going to be very down about that.
I've been watching this game in the background, right, and it's exactly the same again. I'm pretty sure we've had a ton of shots. 15 shots.
You've had.
And again, we've let the other team get back into it. Honestly, we've had so many shots.
How many shots they had?
5. Every fucking game I watch, we batter them, and then we just go and let them go down the other end and score. Does fucking head in.
I want to talk about Sunderland first in this game. We'll talk about Newcastle and some of their problems, but I want to talk about Sunderland. Obviously, this was a massive game for them. The bragging rights have gone to them. I think they got, I don't know when it was, but the last time these guys played each other was in a cup match. I'm pretty sure Newcastle beat quite convincing. It was like, so for Sunderland to come back and win this game 1-0, regardless of how the goal went in, is a massive thing for the club. They pressed well. They limited the space. They didn't give Newcastle any chance to breathe. I mean, when I watched the highlights back, the first highlight was Grimares with a fairly tame effort from the edge of the box in the second half. They just did everything, and the more this season goes on, the more I watch bits and pieces of Sunderland, the more I think that Granit Xhaka, he's probably in the conversation for signing of the season so far. Yeah. He has been absolutely brilliant at Sunderland. Marshals that midfield. He helps maintain the control. I don't know how much he cost. I think it was only about 15 million.
Yeah.
Whatever it was considerably cheaper than transfers we've seen in the summer. And actually, I'm looking on at that with quite envious eyes because he's exactly the type of midfielder that West Ham could have done with in the summer. And Sunderland have pulled off a real coup here. I think Sunderland, sometimes with newly promoted teams, you're sort of waiting for the drop to happen. Now, it might happen during AFCON. They're losing 6, 7, 8 players, whatever it is.
7.
So there might be a drop off then. But the more I watch Sunderland, the more I watch how their manager puts them out, how they sort of set up, the more I think actually I feel like they're so together as a team and they're so well drilled that actually the players that are coming in are probably going to do quite well. And then when those players come back in, they'll be able to carry on where they left off. And I think so. I don't think they'll get Europe, but I think they're destined for a season of safe mid-table security.
Yeah.
And and hopefully from their point of view, a basis to then go again next season, build from, and actually maybe look to re-establish themselves as a Premier League team again.
Yeah, they've been really good to watch actually so far this season. I don't think they're in. I think they can just sort of. I don't want to say cruise because obviously they can't really afford to just cruise now.
No, and that mentality is always dangerous. You want them to keep pushing and see where the season can take you,
how far they can go. But yeah, no, they've been. It's been, and I'll tell you what, it's been nice that it's not just been the same 3 promoted teams that come up that are looking to go back down again.
Yeah,
and luckily Wolves have been like, here you go.
Yeah,
we'll be fucking
exactly.
shit.
We've had enough up here. You know, it's all a bit too much for us. But no, they've been absolutely brilliant. Who knows where the season will take them? But from Newcastle's point of view, we talked about how Sunderland limited them with the way they approached the game and their energy and everything else. Just 2 shots on target this entire game. XG at 0.25. A lack of tempo and creativity in this game. This isn't the first time that we've seen this from Newcastle. They were woeful against West Ham. But yeah, as I say, this isn't the first time that we've seen this from Newcastle this season. They're still in this bottom half of the table. They cannot get going. They cannot get any kind of momentum together to build consistent runs. Obviously, it wasn't helped yesterday with Dan Burn going off, affecting broken ribs.
I've seen a lot of people wanting Howe out now as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, is he under a bit of pressure now? I mean, when we've mentioned this to Shearer in the odd time he shows up to this show, we mentioned to him and he doesn't think so. He thinks he's still got plenty in the bank. But they can't keep doing this. They're a team now that, I wouldn't say they've got used to being at the top end, but they've got a squad that's, you know, their fans are probably looking at that squad and thinking, why the fuck are we down there? We should be in and around the European places almost every year now. And if we do have a drop-off is like 8th or 9th, bottom half. So I hate using this phrase because it was so much against West Ham. Be careful what you wish for, Eddie Howe, because you know he is a good manager. He has done wonders for you.
Yeah,
he's won them 2.
Won them the League Cup last
League Cup.
Season,
Yep, sorry. Do we need to be careful championing the idea of Eddie Howe? Is it Eddie Howe? Sorry, yeah, that wasn't intentional. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what they need to get them to go, but they just seem to be lacking a spark.
I wish Shearer was here actually, because kind of I mean, I think he would stick behind Eddie Howe.
Yeah, I think he would. What would you do? Would you stick with him?
I think so. I'm pretty loyal to managers until I really, really get to that point where we're getting battered 5-1 by Watford, and I'm like, fucking sack him. But yeah, I don't like to chop and change managers, and I think, you know, when I was going to say when a manager just won a trophy, they've built up a bit of credit, but then Argo won the FA Cup, and then we sacked him a couple of months later. So
yeah, I think that January is going to be really interesting for them because I think that the I don't know where they stand with FFP because it seems to be like this is something that's been hanging over their head almost every transfer in the last like 4 years. They must be at a point now where they can relinquish or go a bit bigger. Yeah. But I mean, Bruno Guimaraes was very unapologetic with his interview. He labelled it as unacceptable. He said it was embarrassing. They're down to 12th place at the moment. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is for Newcastle. As you say, it would have been quite nice if Shearer was here to answer that for us. And just finally on Sunderland, we should also mention that you know, whether you see this as a positive for the Sunderland players to give them extra reason to get going or not, there was an emotional moment. Passing of club cult hero Gary Rowell on the eve of that, so he did give the victory extra meaning for the Sunderland fans after that happened. So yeah, fair play to Sunderland, 7th place, 26 points. Yeah, astounding season. Right, let's talk title picture. Let's rattle through this. Let's talk, is it Arsenal against Man City? Is that what we're looking at now with Chelsea and Villa as the 2 potential outsiders?
Yeah, I think so. Unless they start to falter a bit. I think City have actually started to pick up quite a bit of steam recently. They're really starting to chomp at Arsenal's back heels. They're
just sort of a looming presence. They just never really seem to go away. Even when they're, you know, having a little hiccup here and there and we start to doubt them and question them, they always seem to, you know, next time we talk about the title race, it's like, oh, City are just 3 points behind. They're just always there. They're just like lurking in the shadows behind, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful to Villa, but I don't think they will be able to keep up a title race for the entire season.
Yep.
I hope I'm wrong. I really would love to see Villa in a title race, but I don't see it. I don't envision it. Chelsea, I think it's funny because weirdly they're actually get it.
Big Casemiro.
He loves a header from a set piece. Anyway, what was I saying? Chelsea. Weirdly, I saw today they're actually joint second or joint first on clean sheets with Arsenal now.
Which is wild to think.
Yeah, it's crazy
How bad some of their defending has been.
Yeah. But I just think Chelsea are too inconsistent to mount a proper title challenge. I think they'll be top 4, definitely.
If Cole Palmer can stay injury-free now and get back to his best, does that boost them for title hopes?
I just think it's the striker position where they're quite weak. Delap can't seem to keep himself fit at the moment. João Pedro, it was awful when he was in that striker position.
Yeah.
And now Palmer's back. I think he's better in the 10.
Yeah. Their best strikers on loan at Bayern Munich at the moment.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him, actually. I was trying to think who it was. I think Pedro Neto's had a good season out at right wing.
Yep.
I mean, Esteval, I think, should get way more game time. I think they'd be a lot better if he would play more. But I just think Chelsea, the phones are going mental.
Yeah, I don't trust. My thing is I don't trust Maresca.
And
did
Lee
will
will
back
his
me up
comment
on this.
the other day?
Which one?
About the worst 48 hours.
Yeah, I saw the headline, but I'll be honest, I didn't click on the article to see what it was he was referring to.
Well, no one knows, and they asked him to elaborate on it, and he refused.
What's happened in the last 48 hours? When was it? When was the interview given?
After the Champions League game,
where they lost to Atalanta, like 2. What did they do last weekend?
They drew. No, they beat Everton weekend just gone. They drew with Bournemouth last weekend, 0-0.
The worst 48. Maybe
because they asked him. I think it was today because they've got League Cup game coming up.
Yes, they got Cardiff tomorrow. I think.
And they said, "Oh yeah, can you just elaborate on what you meant?" And he was just like, "No." I don't know if
just a curveball to throw the media off.
I don't know if something had happened and maybe it's like a dig at the board or something like that. But he can quite easily get out of it because he's not come out and said, and maybe he now regrets it. And because sometimes in the heat of the moment, the managers will say something and then regret it, won't they? Whereas he's been quite clever and been very
cryptic.
It's a hidden message, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think Lee would back me up on the whole not trusting Maresca thing because Lee's talks at times about his rotation, his constant need to sort of reinvent the wheel when it comes to defenders and where they play and all that kind of stuff. Doing too much of that.
Yeah. And
when it works, he looks great, but it's not working enough for him to be classed as like a tactical genius.
Yeah.
He works 2 out of every 4 times. So, but no, in terms of the title picture, I do think Arsenal are still the favourites. They defend well. They've got a great squad of players. My issue with them is that it's the big games that the question. So I look back at their fixtures. Obviously, they lost to Villa last weekend. Mm-hmm. They drew with 10-man Chelsea. Mm-hmm. They lost to a fairly poor Liverpool side. I appreciate it was earlier in the season where Liverpool were in that we'll grind out results mode, but they still weren't very good. They drew with a City side that weren't firing. You should have got at least a point against them.
We should have got some.
And they've needed 2 own goals against Wolves to beat them at the weekend.
Another thing that made me laugh, I saw I think it was a Wolves fan. He was like, "We scored 3 fucking goals tonight, and we still lost."
I mean, the problem is that when Arsenal continually don't win these big games, like championship winning teams will beat other championship rivals during the season. It's kind of like a prerequisite of winning the league. You can't just rely on beating the other teams in the league and then waiting for those to slip up. And that's kind of what makes me continually doubt them. They have got experience in what a title run feels like, but unfortunately all of their experience is falling short. And every time, and I just worry for their sake, every time they have a bad result, does the doubt begin to creep into the back of the mind? Is it happening again? Are we going to again? And then let's say City go on and do what I know they haven't done it for the last year or two, but if City historically put their foot down in around Christmas and bugger off, what does that do to Arsenal's mentality?
I think Gabriel Jesus being back is a massive plus for them.
Really?
Yeah.
You think he's that big of a...
I think he's way better than Gyökeres. Way better.
Yeah.
I mean, he came on against Wolves, and I thought he gets himself about. He drops into that. He almost reminds me a bit of Firmino. Is that type of striker?
Yeah.
He wants to get involved and link the wingers. And I think when you've got Saka and Trossard, I think has been their best left winger this season. Martinelli keeps starting, but Trossard will come on and score a goal, and then he's on the bench the next game. I really don't rate Gyökeres at all at the moment. I think, don't get me wrong, I think he could become a good player, but I think he's going to be one of these where he needs like a season to bed in, and then the following season he'll start to improve. But I watched him against Wolves and barely even noticed he was on the pitch.
Yeah, he was being very poor again.
You know, if you're at home against bottom of the league with 2 points and you barely get involved in the game.
Yeah, look, I appreciate Wolves were defending well. They were defending deep. I get it. That's fine. But as a striker playing for a team like Arsenal, you've got to be able to impact the game a lot more than he did. And that's not the first time we've said that about him this season. So yeah,
I don't even have like a hate thing against Gyökeres. I mean, I wanted him at United. Obviously, and we know how good he was at Sporting. I mean, he scored a hat-trick against City, so we know that he can do it against Premier League players. I think I just haven't seen that player at Arsenal so far.
I mean, sometimes it's not necessarily just about the pace of the Premier League. It can also be about style of the team that you're playing in. His role under Amorim at Sporting would have probably been completely different to the role that he's now got under Arteta. Yeah. Almost every team that he comes up against with Arsenal are going to sit deep, which means he's now got to change his game. He might have been used to having a much more bigger amounts of space to operate in against Man City. You were saying there, Man City wouldn't have been sitting, would they?
No.
They would have been giving him space to run in behind and whatnot. So it's it's a tricky one for Arsenal. With City, I guess the only question really is with City is what happens if Haaland gets injured, because I know Foden has raised his game a lot. All I mean is that can they maintain a title challenge without Haaland's goals?
I think City are much less dependent on individual players.
Really? Even with, you look at the goal stats, how many Haaland scored compared to the next season. I know it's improved recently with Foden.
The problem is, though, I think the whole Haaland scores all the goals, because I think that's the game plan. It's get the ball to Haaland.
Yeah, but then what happens if he's not there then?
Get the ball to Marmoush.
You think?
I think so.
I think Marmoush has got it in him
not necessarily. He's not Haaland's figure, but I think the team can split the goals well enough. I think Foden's on fire at the moment. He can chip in with the goals. I think if Haaland's not there, Marmoush will get goals through the middle. Yeah. I don't think an injury to Haaland would derail them as it would. I think the injury to Gabriel for Arsenal has been a massive impact.
Yeah,
because I don't think they've kept a clean sheet since he's been injured.
Saliba was back this week. They succeeded. Maybe a lot of people thought that Saliba was. Maybe it was Gabriel.
I really rate Gabriel. I think he goes so under the radar. I think he's
fantastic. Yeah, he really is a top centre back. And obviously we talked about Chelsea and Villa there at the best. I mean, the Christmas period is always very pivotal, and with the league, thanks to Arsenal's indifferent form over the last couple of weeks where they've been points, the league has condensed up and closed down a bit again. So we've got a situation now where this Christmas period, where there's 4 or 5 fixtures over the next couple of weeks, it's going to be really interesting to see what that title picture looks like from the sort of early middle part of January. Have Arsenal managed to kick back into gear? Are they still stuttering? Have Man City kind of put the accelerator down? Can Villa keep up this winning run?
We're level on points with Chelsea. I just if you wanted to chuck United in the mix as well.
No, I'm fine. But thanks for the offer. Right, okay, we're going to end the podcast this week with a bit of fun. We are going to do our Premier League Bellend 11. Your most hated Premier League 11 of all time, since Premier League era, so it's me from 92 to present day. Any player who was horrible to watch on the pitch, who would have been horrible to play against, who was just a general twat. Players who make you want to 2-foot them in the cock. Yeah, just utterly horrible blokes. So I've got a 4-3-3. Fine. Do you want to do the entire team and then do each one? I might be able to chop it up, cheeky YouTube short.
What do you mean? As in you do your
So I'll do my entire team,
Okay.
and then
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
do both. We'll do it that way. So, right, okay. So for my Premier League Bellend 11, coveted title, goalkeeper Jens Lehmann.
Yeah.
Just unhinged energy, just constantly shouting, winding people up, time wasting. It's almost like he was looking for red cards after time. Not sure what he was ever going to do next, so I think he would have been horrible to play against. At left back, I've gone for. He doesn't normally play at left back, but I think he did a little bit. I've gone for Branislav Ivanovic.
Okay. Yeah, he was right back. But
yeah, sort of centre half levels of violence, but at full back. You know, he loves sticking an elbow in, getting involved in all the dirty side of the game. I think what got away with it most of the time is that he looked calm while he was doing it. He always looked like he was completely in control, but he would silently murder you without ever changing his expression. At right back, I've gone for Thomas Repka. Now, this name will probably mean nothing to a lot of people watching and listening to this. He was West Ham's right back in the, I'm going to say, mid to late 2000s, I'm going to say. He was a fucking menace. Nobody was safe from him, and not even West Ham players themselves. If anybody fancies it, Google Thomas Repka's name in YouTube, or put it into YouTube. There is a video that you will find where I can't remember who we were playing. Somebody's running through the middle of the pitch towards our goal, and out of nowhere, Repka comes in with a full-blooded sliding challenge, completely misses him, and fucking poleaxes our centre midfielder, Steve Lomas, to the point where Steve Lomas needed treatment because his own player has just wiped him out. And it was that sort of thing that made him a cult hero. It's weird to say, but that sort of thing made him a cult hero at West Ham because he just wouldn't fuck with him. He was an okay player, and I'm pretty sure he ended up in jail after he finished his footballing career. He was an absolute nutcase. My two centre-backs, Yapstam, sort of player who maybe looked like he would tackle you anywhere on the pitch, changing room, in the tunnel. You know, look at you and be scared of him. Martin Keown. My overriding memory of Martin Keown is the Van Nistelrooy penalty. Do you remember where he jumped on his back and whatnot? Sort of cemented him as Bellend level status. And he's one of the few people on here that, some people can have pundit redemption arc, whereby they become a pundit and maybe you warm to them a little bit. Yeah. With him, he is just as much of a twat now as a pundit as he was as a player. So he's my other centre-back. I've just realised I haven't got another centre midfielder here. Okay, well, actually, my Bellend 11 is playing with 10 men because probably one of them has probably been sent off. So my two centre midfielders, I've gone for Roy Keane, obvious one, weaponised intensity. If he wasn't kicking you, he was staring at you. Vinnie Jones, honestly, he was basically just violence with shin pads. Part of, I think, what would they call them? Crazy Gang, I think that was called, with the Wimbledon boys. And my three strikers, Luis Suarez, world-class talent, absolute nightmare. Going to do something stupid at some point. Diego Costa, who was basically football's answer to a pub fight, headbutting someone. It would sort of play like you'd love him on your team, but fucking I love the fact that when he played for Wolves, I'm pretty sure he got sent off on his debut when he came to Wolves. I think that summed him up perfectly. And finally, I think my favourite, Mario Balotelli. Weapons grade dickhead.
Didn't think about him.
Absolute dickhead on and off the pitch. Opponents, teammates, himself. He was just in trouble he was never out of the headlines. And it's like, as talents go, he was one of the biggest waste of talents I've ever seen in the Premier League, at least. So yeah, that's my Bellend 10 as it happens, because I forgot to put another centre midfielder in there. Who would I have put? Probably someone like Patrick Vieira would probably have been my other one. There's probably other examples. My Thomas Repka one is quite a niche one because I'm a West Ham fan. So there's probably people watching and listening that will have similar kind of examples of maybe unknown players within their team. So I'd love to hear some of them. So anyway, over to you, sir.
So I've gone down a slightly different route. You've gone down like they get a lot of red cards, they're rebellions. Yeah. Where I've gone, I just think they're a twat.
I think that comes under the Bellend umbrella. I think you're safe.
So, goalkeeper, I've gone Martin. Mine's a bit more recent as well.
Okay.
So I've gone for Martinez. I really like Martinez.
As in Emiliano Martinez,
Villa Martinez. I really like Martinez, but I do think he's a Bellend.
Yeah.
He time wastes in every single game. Proper showman, as in like he winds up the crowd, he winds up the players.
Yeah.
I remember it was at the World Cup.
I was going to say,
yeah.
with the Golden Glove trophy.
Yeah.
What the fuck was he doing? Honestly.
And then at the game, did they play like PSG? And then he had like the Argentina flag in his in his hair. Just don't get me wrong. I like him, but he's a bellend.
Yeah, he qualifies for sure.
Left back, I've gone Cucurella.
Yeah, just for the song.
Yeah,
if nothing else.
Yeah, pretty much. Again, good player. Don't doubt his ability, but he's a twat.
Haircut, everything about him just screams twat.
Centre backs. So, one I fucking hate, David Luiz.
I forgot about him.
Absolutely hate him. Especially, honestly, I watched the game where I think it was Ronaldo and David Luiz went down pretending he was dying and then winks.
Yeah, he looked straight at the camera, didn't he, and winked.
And from that day onwards, I hated that bloke more than anything. And then I struggled for another centre-back. I was sort of thinking, and I thought more recently probably Romero is in that category of I think everyone just goes, he's just a bit of a twat. Like, he gets sent off for no reason.
Yep.
He gets like stupid yellow cards. He's always looking for a brawl. But I liked your centre-back options as well. Right back, I went Richard Dunn.
Okay. Yeah. See that?
Yeah,
he was a bit of a hard nut, wasn't he? But loved a red card and an own goal as well. I think he still holds the record for Premier League own goals, doesn't he? I think.
Yeah, he does, I think. Centre mid, I went Lee Catamol.
Yes, good shout. Yeah. I know one person would be very happy to have him on that list.
Other centre mid, I did 4-4-2, just point out. Other centre mid, Joey Barton.
Oh, how the fuck did I forget about him? Yeah, as far as dickheads go off the pitch, I mean, you struggle to find one bigger than him.
Absolute bellend. Right wing, I went for one probably more personal for me, Jadon Sancho. I think the bloke's just an absolute tool. He's got no interest in being the best footballer he can be. I mean, you know, if you're money motivated, then fair enough. But I think if you get the chance to be a professional footballer, you should do everything in your power to be the best footballer you can be, and he's more interested in where can he earn the most money.
He's one of those footballers that, as a fan, somebody who probably deep down is jealous that they couldn't have the same lifestyle. We couldn't be professional footballers when we were kids. And you look at people like him and think, what the fuck are you doing?
I think,
do you understand what
it's
you're
a
doing?
1 in a million chance.
Exactly. You are literally
footballer.
living the dream of millions of people, and you're acting like this. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So don't get me wrong, I'm if not even fucking come back on here yet.
This must be straight from the kickoff.
Must be.
That's not a bad goal, to be fair, from Evan Nielsen.
Straight through the middle there. That's so poor.
Not a good start to the second half for United. Go on, carry on with your Bellend 11.
Left wing, Richarlison.
Good shout.
No words really needed there.
No, just look at his tattoo.
Yeah,
I think that probably answers everything.
Celebrations.
Yeah.
And taken off the top and not scoring celebrations. And then my two strikers are both Costa and Suarez. Suarez for the biting, etc. And the one that always stands out to me was the World Cup against Ghana, where he
the handball,
handballed it on the line, and then he was celebrating down the tunnel when they missed the penalty.
Asamoah Gyan that took the penalty, wasn't it? Yeah, and fucked it.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good one. One of those ones where like a red card doesn't justice given what was at stake in that game, because I think Ghana were having a good World Cup at that point.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
was that when they had like SCN and stuff playing? I think.
Yeah.
So there we go. A little bit of fun to end off. As I say, everyone listening probably has their own players they would add into this list for various reasons. I mean, there's other players in there that we've not put, like Jamie Vardy could probably be in that list. Just shithousery.
Yeah,
again, if he's on your team, you probably love him, but everybody else probably hates him. Let us know what yours are down below. We have got other videos coming out. We've got LMA will make a return this week. We've got a prediction video. There's another series coming which should be around, I think it's going to be most likely be Boxing Day. The first episode will drop for that. So I'll do a full, once I know for certain that it's going to be Boxing Day and what the date is, then I'll telling you what it is and expect it. And yeah, just let us know what you guys think. Hopefully, I had a bit of problems with the audio again before we started this. I changed a few settings, and I actually think, looking at like the audio levels and how it works, I actually think that the audio cutting in and out and crossing over, based on the audio levels here, should be pretty good. So fingers crossed. I do the edit later. It's clear and crisp and everything. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone. We will see you all next week. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you share us around if you're listening to us on Spotify or iTunes or somewhere else. And yeah, we'll see you all next week.
See you later.